All right, I'm actually doing my YouTube video on time, and that is because it appears that we've had a new Antichrist, and I think I'm getting a pretty good idea who it is. When I've been going out doing my Gail Commandment walks, and I shop just about every day, and I'm going to try to make this video without brain control really messing things up, because that has been a problem lately. Jesus actually instructed me to wear this in 2012 before he put me on Seroquel. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see if I can do it without it. I mean, brain control has been so bad. Like just right now, I almost bit my tongue. I cannot eat. I wear a tinfoil hat when I eat now because I cannot eat without biting my gums and my tongue. It's just getting really bad. Yeah. And, oh dear, look what I just did. I just lost a part. And they're trying to get me obsessed about things. Oh, here it is. They're trying to get me obsessed about things too. Like there's a drip in my sink in the kitchen. And I told myself, don't worry about it. And then there was my kitchen door. Like when I try to open it, the suction is just so strong. So I had maintenance come over and look at it, and they agreed. I said, I'm not really worried about it, but just check it and make sure it's okay. They said, if it gets worse, let them know, but it's not really a big problem. They weren't, and they said they were glad that I brought it up. However, there's another drip in my tub in my bathroom, okay? And I've been ignoring that one for weeks. And they just redid my tub. They made it a walk-in shower. And right after they did that, the tub area, now it's rusty. So I'm gonna report that on Monday. That's nothing compared to some other stuff. Now I'm going, for about the past couple weeks, I have noticed, and I'm not really sure whether these people are under brain control or whether they are willing and knowing evil. I guess evil is defined as whoever the Antichrist is or whoever supports the automatons right now. So I told Brent, scan them and make sure that they're willing and knowing bad people before we decide to take them out, I mean, because we already have. And I've been thinking about that August disaster with the 72 million. I think brain control may have been a large factor in that. Because almost like 10 days after I gave that horrible order that caused 72 million innocent medical people to lose their lives because my military also seemed to fall under some sort of spell, my phone rang and I fell under a spell and I ended up giving them all of my information. Yeah, it was like I couldn't stop myself. And the same thing happened to my men in Christmas of 2022, that same year. And we found out later that the mite Lizzo, who we thought was the Antichrist, was using the phone to put us under brain control. So I don't use a phone right now. I'm wondering if they used phone on me and the 72 million that were taken out. The reason it happened is because I got a notice on my door from my apartment complex, okay? And they said anybody who was ill needed to report it to them, and we needed to isolate, which got me freaked out because I thought, I had written laws to take care of all this nonsense. And we found out later, after we had executed 72 million medical people, because it made it seem like my laws as president weren't working, right? that they were victims of brain control. Their brownies were spiked with brain control drugs, and they were offered to them, and they ate them, and they went under brain control, and that's why they put the notice on my door. It was a Jesuit prank. Yeah, they were pretending like they were representing the CDC, and they weren't. And it was designed to get me all riled up, and they apparently knew that they also had me under brain control from maybe my phone, okay? So they went on a brain control fiasco. They used brain control on my apartment to put the notice on my door to get me all riled up, and then I myself was probably under some brain control when I gave that order. I'm not going to blame it totally on brain control, because I asked Buddha about it a month later, and he said, you have to be careful when you make decisions based on fear. So fear did play a role, but I do think brain control played a role too. Because I find it mighty strange that my military did not inform me that the 72 million people that they took out were innocents. Because they would know that I wouldn't want to take out innocents. Yeah. And how come they didn't figure out that I was a victim of a Jesuit prank until after they had taken out 72 million people? Maybe they were using their phones a lot. So yeah, I think we were Manchurian candidates of sorts, and I kind of pointed that out in one of the stories that I wrote. Okay? You say, oh my God, what do we do if we have an enemy that can use brain control on us to even cause us to kill our, to be killers against our will? That is a tough one. In me and my men's case, I won't use the phone anymore because I don't like that kind of brain control. But I have found, even though I don't have a phone, I am using a Zoom phone. I'm wondering if that's safe. I think it is safe, but it's a Zoom phone on my computer. That the brain control for the past couple weeks has gotten really bad. Really, really bad. I'm making more mistakes than usual. Like, for instance, I was shopping at Walmart today, okay? And I was getting some holes in my underwear, so I figured it was time for me to, I haven't bought underwear in a while. And I shower every day, so I thought, oh, it's time to get underwear. So I decided to go to Walmart to get underwear. And I forgot to write down what size I wear. Normally I would know to do that. It just totally slipped my mind to write down what size underwear I would need to get at the store. So I went to the store and I bought the wrong size. So I'm going to have to return it. But see, that's what I'm talking about. That was brain. Look at me. I can't even talk right now. See what I'm talking about? See how I'm slurring over some of my words? And then on the bus, I take the bus to go out there because I don't have a car, right? Okay. When I was on the bus, lately, on one of the routes that I ride, I've noticed I've noticed strange, bizarre behavior for the past month, but it's been getting really bad in the past week. And most of the people who are behaving in a strange manner have been fat, black, loud, and weird. Might be the best way to put it. Yeah. It's like they get on the bus, they when they listen to their phones, okay, I can understand occasion. They blast the phone so loud, okay, that you could probably hear it across the street if you were like on the other side of the street, okay? Yeah. And then they talk so loud, you could probably hear them if you were in a football stadium and at the other end of the stadium. On the bus. So, and I'm thinking, one time I overlooked it. That happened like a week ago and I overlooked it. But today the same thing happened. And then as soon as I go out the door, it seems like everybody is timed with precision timing to intersect with me. For instance, when I went out the door, they know that part of my routine is to dump my garbage in the dumpster before I head for my walk. Well, guess who showed up at the exact same time that I had to dump my garbage? The garbage pickup truck. So I had to wait for it to do its thing before I could dump my... I thought that was an uncanny quirk in timing. Stuff like this has been happening to me too often to be a coincidence. These people are either willing or unwilling agents for the enemy, I guess. Either that or they're, I say unwilling because they could be brain control victims. Okay. Like, I have to be careful when I walk to make sure that there's no car time to just zoom right in my way, right? This has been happening to me a lot. So, so I was at Walmart, and look at this, my mind is kind of like jumping all over. I'm even having a hard time remembering what I need to say. When I was at Walmart today, I told myself, I even had written down, you need to buy mozzarella cheese to make your pizza because you're getting low. So I told myself I was going to do that, and then I got distracted, and I ended up getting some Asian rice. And I forgot to get the mozzarella cheese. This is what I'm talking about. And I didn't even notice it till I got home. It's not a super big deal because I shop every day. But I don't like it that brain control is used on me to get me to... This is what I'm talking about. You might say, well, that happens to everybody. Yeah, but it's happening too often to be a coincidence. You say, maybe you're getting senile. Nope. It's not senile. This is brain control. I can tell. Besides, too many weird things are happening. So I was walking over to and then I bought 2 red bell peppers, right? And then as soon as I walked by the bell peppers in the grocery section, one red bell pepper just fell from its stand and just went ploop and plopped right in front of me. I thought, that is so weird. And it seems like every place that I need to go in the store, somebody's already there waiting for me. They're usually blocking my way so that I can't get to the shelf to get what I need. Now, I can understand if this happened occasionally, but when this is happening all the time, you start wondering, right? And I am really starting to wonder. And like in the past couple weeks, I have the average person, and they're usually black, fat, and weird, okay, that I'm running, and I'm nothing against blacks, and this isn't how blacks are, okay? I know some quiet blacks. I know some in fact, I have some very well-mannered, nice blacks that live in my apartment complex, okay? So these are just, let me tell you, I'll just go out and tell you what I think's going on. I'm not sure about this, but we definitely have a new Antichrist, and it is not me. I can see that because the injuries that I've gotten the past couple of months, it's taking me a long time to heal. If I was Antichrist, I'd be healing really fast. So it's somebody else, and I think it is a Lizzo clone. Yeah. Because all the weirdos that I run into would seem like the type that would follow her. Most of them are black. I'm saying they're fat. They're weird. They're kind of filthy. Yeah. And they're religious. Yeah. Let me give you an example of what happened to me today. So I walked back from Walmart, okay? And I noticed that somebody had done the lawn, had mowed, and there was grass and dirt on my seat. So this fat black lady comes walking towards me. And I figured since I was wiping my side, I had some paper towels. So I wiped my side of the seat to sit at the bus station. And I noticed that she was coming. I said, well, I might as well wipe her side too. I said, are you coming here to wait at the bus? And she said, yes, ma'am. And I said, well, I'll just go ahead and wipe your side here since it's kind of dirty. And she said, oh, yeah. thank Jesus that you did this for me. Thank you, Jesus. Because, I used to be a nurse, and I'm kind of trying to remember what she said to me. And she said, and I did have a little bit of trouble with OCD, and therefore, but so I really appreciate it. I said, I told her, well, you don't have to have OCD to not want to sit on this seat with dirt and grass all over it. And she just sat down, and she says, oh, praise Jesus that I have a nice, comfortable place to sit. This is what she was like, okay? You might say, well, she says, I have some medical problems, and she kind of listed them all off, and I can't remember everything she said. I thought that was a little strange, but I kind of overlooked it. But and then what else happened? See, they're using brain control on me. Oh yeah, she asked me. She said, "Do you know when the bus is going to be coming?" And I said, "Well, probably about 10 minutes or so." She said, "I probably should be waiting on the other side of the street." And then she was talking on her phone. And then she put her phone on, and it was loud. I mean, like I said, you could hear it across the street. It's like I was thinking, and she wasn't an old woman, okay? She was like in her 20s. So most people in their 20s, and she was obviously not deaf. So, whoever the new group of Jesuits is, they like to play their phones really loud. Okay, I'm hoping they don't have brain control signals on them. They're loud, and they're religious and very inappropriate. What else did she say? Okay. Oh yeah, she asked me. I remember now. The one thing that I thought was really strange. She was saying, "Oh, I should go on the other side of the street," and so I was trying to help her out because I'm an expert on all the buses around here. I know all the routes, and I said, "Well, where are you trying to go?" And she said, "Oh, I'm doing fine, man. Thank you for asking how I'm doing." I said, "I didn't ask how you were. I said I just wanted to know where you were going." And she goes, "Oh yeah, I know. I'm going to get to that." She says, "I just want you to know I'm going to go to a place where I got a really fine daughter waiting for me," and it was like she wanted to give me her whole family history. And I said, "Well, yeah, I just wanted to know where you were going because I ride all the buses around here, and I thought maybe I could help you." And she said, "Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. I'm getting to it." And I thought, I'm telling you. You might say, maybe she was just, yeah, but she wasn't the only one I've run into who's been like that this week. It's like everybody I'm running into is like that. And then I told her, well, okay. She told me, she says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be going down near the Arsenal." And I said, "Oh, the Arsenal." I said, "They just had a really bad car crash there." And it was like, somebody died. She says, "Oh yeah, they drive way too fast there." She says, "I'm not surprised that happened." Instead of saying, "Oh, how awful," because I thought it was pretty awful because somebody died. It was like, she just took it real flippantly. And it's like, and then, oh yeah. Then I saw some pretty hawks flying. I like to get pictures of them if I could. And brain control, see what I'm talking about, was used on me to get me to hit the wrong button on my camera so that I had this like black and white sepia view and I wasn't able to get the hawks. I'm just talking about, this is weird. I hate this brain control. Yeah. And I'm noticing like every edge I touch seems razor sharp. Yeah. And I'm not sure, and I feel like like I'm going to cut myself by touching even paper edges, But then I look at my skin and sometimes it's really weird. And like the other day I was flossing and I put this floss threader in my mouth. And one time when it got on top of my tongue, it felt like, and I think this was brain control. It just made me feel like I was biting my tongue. it felt like the threader was going down into my tongue, like it was slicing into it. It was freaking me out. I thought, and I think that was brain control too. Okay, bottom line is whoever the new Antichrist is, and I know it isn't me, they're using a ton of brain control, and it's making you feel, notice, kind of like, and the agents are loud, religious. Oh, she kept saying, praise Jesus, praise Jesus. And then when she got on the bus, she wasn't really rude to me, okay? Just weird. When she got on the bus, she was talking again at the top of her voice, and she said, how long? I even had a conversation with her, and she goes, so I think on Saturday, the buses stop at 3 o'clock. I said, no, they stop at 5 o'clock. I said, they used to come earlier, but now they don't anymore. And I forget what she said to that. So I told her 5 o'clock today. Oh yeah, and then and notice how my mind keeps forgetting what I was going to say. See how the brain control is working? And she, so I said, oh, that means you're going to I was listening to her. I said, I can tell you're going to need to catch Route 2. And said, you're right. You probably could go across the street. She says, well, I think I'll just sit on the bus because my legs are tired and I have a medical condition. I said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. That's what I told her. And she said, since you're going to have to wait half an hour to catch it on the other side anyway. And then she said, well, how long would I have to wait for the bus that's going to go in that direction? She went back to the transfer center. And I said, well, on Saturday, the buses only go once an hour, so you would be waiting a half an hour. It would be And she said, well, thank you for letting me know that. And so I already told her what she needed to do, and I told her that the buses stop at 5 o'clock today. And she said, I said 3 o'clock is Route 56, and that one's way south of here. So she got on the bus, and it was like she hadn't even heard me. She sat on there and she asked the bus driver, she said, ma'am, how long do your buses run today? And the lady said, till 5 o'clock. And I said, and then I pointed out to her, I said, oh, there's a piece of paper there right on the bus that tells you the bus schedule. And she goes, oh, thank you for mentioning that. I just thought it was weird. Okay, and then she opened up her purse and got one of them lipstick wands and started going right on the bus. You might say, well, maybe she was just a weird black lady. Yeah, running into like 20 weird black ladies in a week. Yeah. They're normally not like that, okay? They've been like this on the bus all week. All week. This is something new. It wasn't like this a month ago or even 2 months ago. So I stopped. And now I'm hearing somebody right now talking loud. That's weird. You say, oh, so you might say, what do you think's going on? I'm not really sure. Another thing is, one time, this was like over a year ago, when I was on Route 8, okay? I was really hyped up about the mites back then. And somebody had their cigarette out on the bus, okay? They had their cigarette out on the bus, and I was worried I thought I smelled cigarette smoke. So I asked them to please put their cigarettes up. And they looked at me real huffy and said, I'm not smoking. I said, you're not supposed to be smoking on the bus. And they said, oh, I'm not smoking. And then the bus driver looked in their mirror and saw them, and she said, everybody just needs to calm down. She was probably right. I did overreact. I'll admit it, okay? So now my attitude is I'm not going to make a stink about somebody holding a cigarette on the bus unless it's lit and I see billows of smoke coming up. Though I did see that one time, and the bus agreed with me that they shouldn't be doing that on the bus. But lately, I think they have a good memory, my enemy does. They remembered that I reacted overboard to somebody holding an unlit cigarette on the bus. Oh, yeah, and I think that person ended up getting executed by my Brent, too. Yeah. So they're trying to egg me on, and he didn't deserve to be executed. He didn't deserve it. He was just a rude person holding an unlit cigarette on a bus. That's all. Somebody like that doesn't deserve to be executed. They might be rude and weak, So I ever since we've had that calamity where the 72 million, were taken out, I tell Brent, scan, determine and make sure that they're willing and knowing automaton supporters. And I think I'm going to have to qualify that and say willing and knowing evil Antichrist supporters. I mean, I used to be the Antichrist. I didn't want to be, but I was, okay? So I'm saying evil. So, okay, going by the latest that I've experienced, I am of the belief, I used to think the Antichrist was Genghis Khan after me. And I don't think that's the case. I think it is somebody fat, black, obnoxious, and sloppy. Somebody like Lizzo. So my guess now is the new Antichrist is probably the Lizzo clone. We took out the might Lizzo. Okay? Yeah. So what that would mean for my Brent is we are at war with the automatons, because their attitude is if we're not subservient to them, they're going to kill us, right? So so let me tell you what I think is going on. Oh, by the way, I'm still working on the Gail Commandments story for the Gail series, but what I think is going on, judging by the weirdos I've run into the past couple weeks, and I've run into a lot of them, and they're all timed with precision timing to just bump right into me, I think that the new Antichrist is fat, black, weird, sloppy, and they're using a ton of brain control. They're just about as bad as Angelina Ballerina was. And she was bad. In fact, my next group of Gail, see what I mean by the brain control? Gail series stories is going to be about Angelina. I believe it could very possibly be the Lizzo clone. I'm assuming there's no Lizzo prime. Lizzo was a mite. Okay? And we took her out when we defeated the interdimensional mite. She was not even human. She was an anthropomorphic mite. Yeah, I already wrote that story. And when we asked Satan whether Lizzo could be the Antichrist, he looked at us like we were idiots and said, "Oh, mites are gross. I would never use a mite as an Antichrist." However, if he's using the Lizzo clone, she's not a mite, she's a human. Okay? So maybe he is. Here's what I think Satan is up to. I'm obviously not the Antichrist anymore. I don't want that job because I disagree with Satan in a lot of areas. And I love Jesus. So I don't want to be the Antichrist. However, somebody is the Antichrist, I can tell. My guess is, at first I thought it might be Genghis Khan, but I think it is now possibly Lizzo, clone Lizzo. Judging by the weirdos that I've seen, they seem like the type who would follow her. Lizzo claimed to be a Christian, so that she would put on a false religion persona. Okay, she claimed to be a Christian. She was fat, sloppy. SJW. Oh yeah, all of them are SJW. Yeah, if you're SJW, you're basically making Satan very happy, because Baphomet, his best buddy, is the SJW demon. I've gone into that in my story. So yeah, what I think Satan is doing is I think he's lying to his new Antichrist. Yeah. You say, really? Yeah, I think he's telling her, let's assume it's clone Lizzo. I think he's telling her, oh, Gail is crazy. She says that I'm working with the automatons. And I saved her life by giving her Antichrist powers, and she's so ungrateful. I know you will be different. I'm assuming it's Lizzo, okay? Actually, I think he is secretly working with the automatons. He's playing a game. And he's not past lying to his own Antichrist. He's done it with the previous ones. I know, because I led two of them to the Lord. I led Lori McBride to the Lord, and I led Zach Knight to the Lord. They were both Antichrist, okay? And he lied to both of them. He will lie to his Antichrist. He lied to me when I was his Antichrist. His lies are very clever, though. He lies more by omission than by outright lies. Well, he'll do that too. You say, well, how is he lying to his Antichrist? I think he's lying to his Antichrist because he's pretending like he's not working with the automatons. But I think he is. Because his technological prowess is formidable. The brain control that he's using is formidable. And for him to be so good at this, he has to be using the automatons. And, you know, the way he's taken down my website, though, I'm letting the Gail series take its place. But, yeah, I think he's telling the new Antichrist, Gail is crazy. Her Gail series just shows you how crazy she is. He's claiming, see, he did manage to get my website down, okay? And he's trying to get all of the truth down. So since he can't get the truth totally down, since I'm going gung-ho with the Gail series, his new strategy seems to be to discredit the truth, to make the truth tellers, myself, appear crazy, which is nothing new. He's done this all the time. Mainstream news never tells the truth. So that's what I think he's doing. He's lying to the Antichrist and telling them that he's not working with the automatons when he is. So basically, he's got a multi-pronged strategy going on here. He's working with the automatons, but in secret. See, the problem is, he's still trying to get brownie points with God the Father. Because he thinks free love always has to be evil. Jesus feels otherwise. And in order for him to expand his territory, he has to convince God that free love is always evil. And that anyone who practices free love is going to be evil. Therefore, Jesus is crazy to create humans to be his free love icons. So he's going to lie to his Antichrist and say, Gail is crazy. Therefore, and I'm not working with the automatons, like she says. And it's very possible that he could have struck a deal with Sun Tzu and said, maybe we ought to play like we don't get along right now. And I'll just let you all do your thing and I won't bother you. That way I won't have to lie to God or to my Antichrist to say that I'm not working with you guys and that Gail's full of baloney and that she has betrayed me. As if I ever wanted to be Antichrist in the first place. So yeah, I think he is working with them, but he's doing it in a really sneaky manner to make it appear like he isn't. Yeah, maybe he told them something like this. Just have us break our contract with each other for temporarily, and then we can line up together later. I have faith in you, Sun Tzu. I know you'll do fine without me. We'll meet up later, Sun Tzu. Goodbye for now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what he's doing, something like that. But that means he's still working with them. Yeah. He's playing a game. He's good at that. So basically, in this war against evil, we've got several enemies. The automatons are still bad. Okay? Whether they're currently working with Satan or not is irrelevant. The point is they're all evil, so all these evil people are all on the same side. And they're going to end up probably lining up with him later if they haven't already done so. Or if they had a temporary divorce and they plan to get remarried later, you know. This is what I think is going on. There does appear to be another Antichrist. I noticed a change of strategy a couple weeks ago. So I think it's very possible it's clone Lizzo. Yeah. Yeah. So in dealing with the enemy, we got to understand that it appears the enemy has kind of gone into different camps, and they're trying to confuse us and that's a prime warfare strategy, to confuse you so you don't know who your enemy is. Yeah. That sounds like something Sun Tzu would do too. Yeah. Because he is a master strategist. If we don't know who the enemy is, then we don't know who we need to defend ourselves against, right? So we probably need to re-up our targets. Anybody who's a willing and knowing automaton supporter and or evil Antichrist supporter needs to be dealt with. Okay? Evil Antichrist would be defined as anybody who willingly and knowingly supports Satan's evil agenda to make free love appear evil. Yeah, always. Because that's his goal. Yeah. Okay? And who is against me and my men. So, and that could change up. Last I heard, Satan can pick whoever he wants for Antichrist, so he could be trying to confuse the daylights out of us. He might choose one Antichrist one month and another Antichrist another month. So we should recalibrate our scanners to, I would imagine, to determine if anybody's a willing and knowing automaton supporter and or evil Antichrist supporter, with evil Antichrist defined as anybody who willingly and knowingly is a supporter of any, I think there's a real easy way to find out who is evil. And this is going to kind of help us to, because even when I was Antichrist, I was against brain control. One thing that has been consistent with the automatons and with the Antichrist is they all use brain control. So anybody who willingly and knowingly supports the use of brain control is who we need to deal with. That'll make it simple. Because I've always been against brain control. So I think that should be the criteria. Anybody who willingly and knowingly supports the use of brain control to accomplish a war agenda. Yeah. Or to serve Satan is somebody that we need to deal with. I think that'll make it simple. Because it looks like he's changing up the Antichrist to confuse us, so we don't know who our enemies are, or who our friends are, for that matter. I mean, when you're dealing with brain control, you can confuse an enemy for a friend or vice versa. So, yeah, I wanted to make a YouTube video to let you all know that I think we need to we need to take some serious measures against brain control. That's becoming a real problem. Yeah. Anybody who supports brain control and rape. I define rape as forcing somebody into a sexual transaction against their will. Okay? I've always been against that, even when I was the Antichrist. So if they support rape and brain control and Satan, those are the ones we need to go after. Rape, anyone who supports willingly and knowingly, we'll put that in there, willingly and knowingly supports rape, brain control, and Satan. Or should I say Satan's goals? We might need to put that in there, is somebody we need to deal with. So I wanted to make a YouTube video to let you know that it appears the enemy has changed strategy. They're doing damage control over the Gail series and trying to confuse us so that we don't know who the enemy is. Which sounds like something Sun Tzu would do, which makes me believe that Sun Tzu is still working with Satan, no matter what Satan says. So everybody, you say, what do we do about the brain? Just do the Gail Commandments. The Gail Commandment story is probably going to be done within a week. and then I'll make it available. Just check that link underneath the video. And yeah, everything will be okay, but we just need to stay calm. Don't give way to fear, doubt, or idolatry. And if you're reading my Gail series, in the Gail series, I've already dealt very heavily with the sin of idolatry. The next sins I'll be dealing with are going to be fear and doubt, which also get us into a big bunch of trouble. Fear and doubt is what makes us go into obsessions too. So, yeah, I'll be dealing with that one a lot. So anyways, you guys, I have faith in Jesus, even though he had to leave us. I understand why. But he has faith in my Brent. And I do believe that we're going to win. I believe that true love will win in the end. Satan is not going to win. And he's not going to be able to say that free love always has to be evil. Because it just isn't true. Anyways, you guys, have a good day.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising, breaking free from chains. She's Gail Schuler, her heart pure and strong, with the power of love, she'll right the world's wrongs. Yeah! She's the first, a passionate crusader. Stand by her side, they'll conquer it all. Through space battles and trials.